Live from Quebec, it's Saturday night.
Dun, 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 dun. That's the wrong music. That was the wrong music.
That was a good try, though.
I sang the
You're losing,
wrong
Daryl.
music.
You're slipping, Daryl. You're slipping.
No kidding. Man, I looked outside. I was like, man, is it windy out there?
And it just carried you away, right? Like a feather.
It was like
carried you down the street a little bit further. You couldn't make it back.
A little bit further than I would have liked. It plopped me right down in the middle of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my dog didn't know what happened.
Well,
me and my little dog Toto didn't know what happened.
I'm sure we would have missed you greatly if you had flown away to where's that, Oz? Yeah, it would have been a problem.
But I had my phone and I had a backup plan just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
All right. Well,
here we are.
Daryl,
ready to
we had a
rock
great
and
show.
roll.
We had a great panel. Things were working out.
All-star cast, TK. All-stars.
We're killing it. We got some great content, and today is no different. Today is no different. We got an amazing guest.
Wow.
I'm sure he's waiting.
How are we able to get such wonderful guests on this show, TK?
He's an expert in his field, and looking forward to talking to him.
Yeah. Well, Here we go. I mean, there's definitely plenty to talk about. He is there. Let's get him in here.
Dum, dum, dum.
Press that button and this button, and here we go. Like to welcome to the show, Mr. Art Dadson.
I think Zoom knows when there's an annoying sounds and they shut it down right there.
They know to turn on their cameras. That's the cue.
Okay.
Welcome.
There we go. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks. Nice to see you.
Absolutely, Art. Yeah, good to meet you face to face. Technically,
Yeah.
So Art is the greatest real estate agent in all of New Brunswick, and
of all time.
Of all time. Okay,
right.
He's the founder of the Art of Real Estate. He's with Exit Realty, just as he exited the show, just like that, with his video up. And
did it cancel out?
And Art is very investor focused, and what we brought Art on today is because he deals with a lot of interprovincial clients. He's got the lowdown on the New Brunswick market. We're always going coast to coast. We mean that when we say this is the Canadian Real Estate Show. We are not Toronto focused. As you can see, Art, we are located in Quebec today.
We are somewhere in Quebec. We thought we were in Montreal last time we were here, but we were proven wrong quickly.
We're in Quebec. And and you are somewhere in New Brunswick, maybe close to Moncton, but I'm not in Moncton.
I'm in Dieppe, New Brunswick, actually, right now.
Dieppe,
which is sister city to Moncton, the French side of Moncton.
How many people live there?
Oh my God, probably at least 25. No, I think that combined together, I think we're approaching 1 million now with all three. We basically have Dieppe, Moncton, and Riverview combined into one big city.
See why that joke was funny though, because when you say that to people from Ontario, like we really that question really is like a common question, right? Like
it is a very common question,
right? Like you're the only realtor in all of Dieppe. Now Darryl and I would fit right in because we both took French immersion in school, and so even though we don't speak the language, well, we don't speak the language anymore, but we respect it, and if we got there, the locals would accept us with open arms.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
100%.
Because we speak French.
We went.
Does everybody speak French there?
We don't have to speak the language. Yeah, New Brunswick's the only bilingual province in Canada.
Officially bilingual, yeah, the only one.
Wow, too bad. All right, well, that's good. So what's going on there with real estate? Are we booming? Are we going up? Are we going down? What's happening over there? We talked to somebody from Saskatchewan, and prices are going up in Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
they were flat when everybody else was booming, though.
That's true. takes a little while to catch up to Saskatchewan. Everybody over here, like we're still half of what the national average is for sale homes here. So we're still got a lot of room to grow, even though the interest rates are up. And when you compare it to what it costs to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in most of the rest of Canada, we're still halfway. So there's still lots
Prices,
of growth.
Price-wise.
Price-wise, yeah.
What are the prices there?
For a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right now we're around 350, 350K.
350? A house?
Yeah, for a house.
Is that like on a lake with like the most beautiful setting? This episode is brought to you by Landlord.
This landlord software is a game changer. You upload your properties, right? You'll upload all the information, income, expenses, timelines, mortgage details, everything that you need to have so that you keep track of everything in your portfolio. And as you go through real-time adjustments in, rent increases and water bills and tax bills and everything else, they're going to actually give you recommendations on how to make your portfolio more efficient. And it just breaks everything down for me in a way that I've never seen before. Like Excel spreadsheets just don't cut it. I don't think there's a better program or app out there for investors, and it's free.
Please click the link below for your free trial offer.
It's a medium.
Medium. That's the average. So
Wow.
So let's say a house on a lake with a beautiful setting, you're probably looking at 500, 550 right now.
And what would that rent for in a month?
Oh my God, 2,500, 3,000 a month. So there's
Good,
a lot of
good cash flow over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people just buying single family homes for Airbnb purposes. They won't even do it full time. They'll just make 30 or 40 grand during the summer months and maybe 15 grand during the winter months for snowmobilers and call it a day.
TK.
I know people are going to just like Saskatchewan, the hidden gem of the country is New Brunswick.
Well, hold on a sec. Where's the affordability crisis? We're not looking so hard here, TK. We keep finding affordable places in this giant country we live in. I guess we're just really good at this, TK. We're really good at this.
We got the right people.
We talked to one guy in New Brunswick and one guy in Saskatchewan, and we're 2 for 2.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
We've opened it up. I got a boots on the ground story here in New Brunswick for you, Art. This is in Lower Coverdale. Okay. And this is a guy I know in Ontario who bought a property. He just told me yesterday, and he had bought it on Sunday, and it was 7 offers. I might be wrong here. 7 offers, 3 were from Ontario, 1 was from BC.
Okay.
And it was a nice custom home, like new build in 2019. He bought it. Him and his family are moving to New Brunswick to retire.
Yeah, you've got tons of people. They're selling what they own on the West Coast or even in Ontario, coming here, paying cash, and having enough money to basically live out the rest of their lives.
How do we feel about this? How do we feel about this, Art? As a local, you love it. See? Bald Prairie was like, stay where you are. Don't tell anybody about Saskatchewan. We like it like this. Don't drive up my prices.
No, come on over. Drive up the comps. Drive up the comps.
Look at this. What a different
Art's
perspective.
a seasoned investor as well too. So he's got, his business. He's got properties. He's got,
he wants to see some appreciation. God damn it! It's about time, right?
Exactly. We've waited long enough.
But you got other things too to think about, right? It's like the more money from Ontario that comes in, it means that the more money the municipality and the province is going to have, and the more investment into infrastructure, the more businesses are going to open, the more like you're really improving the lifestyle of everybody in New Brunswick, in my opinion, in my like very narrow-minded, ignorant opinion. But that's how I would view it.
What am I working at? Where am I working if I come there? What kind of jobs are available?
There's a lot of tech jobs here. We've got everything, blue collar, white collar. We've got basically everything over here.
Yeah.
A to Z. Yeah.
Like what kind of tech jobs?
Because you got other stuff too there that we don't have that involves the ocean.
The ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
Like lobster.
We've got a lot of big corporations. They'll open their call centers here, their contact centers here. A lot of telecommunications come through here. Moncton is actually a telecommunication hub for the entire maritime. So everything flows through Moncton, basically.
Yep. Bilingual services, Darryl.
Do we have a big port over there? Is there a big port there?
We have tons of ports. Almost every city is a port city.
Right.
So how I met Art, right, is through like investor channels and stuff. So Art, just walk me through from COVID 2020, March 2020. What changed in New Brunswick? What was it that, I know your business obviously changed, but what happened overall with the New Brunswick scene for real estate?
Well, honestly, during the pandemic, I probably sold about $55 million worth of multifamilies here locally. So Moncton,
Which is impressive
up in
considering the
Bathurst.
median price
Yeah.
point being.
Hold on, but
350.
define multifamily. Are we like 4+ doors or 2+ doors?
2+ doors. 2+
So
doors.
basement
There's actually
plus upstairs counts as multifamily?
2 units.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some advantage to duplexes. It maybe doesn't make sense for somebody from out of province to buy one single duplex, but hang on. I don't know. Does my camera skip out when somebody calls?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. You might want to put it on do not disturb.
Okay, let me try to figure that out. Let's see here.
You got an Apple, the top drop down menu.
Okay.
Yeah. So Moncton, because I'm looking at deals March 2020 compared to March 2022. And there's some serious inflation. There's a lot of change in these cap rates in New Brunswick. So there's obviously been a significant demand. Like the market prior to COVID must have been a cash cow for investors in New Brunswick.
I mean, luckily my wife and I got in pretty early. I guess it was we've been investing in real estate for probably a decade now, but seriously since about 2017. My wife said it was time to grow up. We actually lived on a boat for a couple of years, so we ended up having to sell the boat and grow up. And at that point, we were looking at, there was a lot of 12% cap rates, 14. That was pretty normal.
Wow.
So we were picking
What
up
is
properties.
that? That doesn't even make any sense to me.
Exactly. When I originally did the Robert Kiyosaki program years and years ago, he said straight out, if you ever see 12%, you buy. You don't even ask.
Yeah.
Buy.
Offer right now.
Yeah. And back then, the program, you had access to them on the phone. So we would find deals. We would call them on the phone directly and just talk to them, and they would talk us through a deal. And they just couldn't believe it. What do you mean 12%? You must be calculating that wrong. What do you mean 16%? Let me run the numbers. That can't be right.
And you could probably pay cash. How much were you buying the place for then?
Yeah, exactly. Like 100,000, 80,000. Actually, even, we're talking that cap rates are dropping pretty significantly in Moncton. We're down to about 4% now that the bank's allowing. But even just 3 months ago, there was a duplex for sale, $75,000 on 8.5 acres of land. I mean, it's still, yeah, exactly. And subdividable, like usable land, multiple usage, zone designation. So
one of the things we talked about with our friend in Saskatchewan, I guess, was just construction costs, because it's not cheaper to build in New Brunswick. Like it's all the same across Canada. We've got these issues, right? So how much new construction, because of COVID, has been able to go through? Like how many applications are there? How many projects have you seen? Or is it just shut right down? At least in Ontario, there is a justification to still build because of the values, right? So if you buy the land at the right price, you can do it. But it's almost like the replacement costs.
They became essential services, construction workers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's way higher than the values. So what's going on there?
We've seen a lot of construction, a lot of new construction all over the place, all over the province.
Like subdivision stuff and mid-rise buildings?
Everything, you name it. Even high-rise stuff is going up downtown Moncton. They've got a new plan, tear down some of the old stuff and build these new high-rises for commercial.
Wow. How tall? What's high-rise there? What's
a high-rise?
Yeah. High-rise by our standards. So we're looking
6?
14.
14. What the fuck's going on?
Awesome.
Yeah.
We got to go to New Brunswick.
Come on down.
Let's go.
I got lots of room.
Holy. Yeah, I'll bet you do at those prices. Yeah. What do you got? 8,000 acres of prime, like subdivided real estate.
Yeah. Actually, there you go. I just listed 100 acres for 45 grand.
Let's go. TK, I'm in. Let's go. Cash right now.
Tell us about the deal. Tell us about the deal.
I don't care. Let's go. Is it a 12 cap?
Well, this one, it's 45 grand for 100 acres, and it's midway between two New Brunswick communities. One would be like the Greater Moncton area. The other one's Rogersville. So it's we have two main north-south arteries, the 126 and the 134, the highways, and this is on the 126. So it's basically midway between two. It's really
commercial.
What's the zoning? Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the zoning?
Zoning, yeah.
Commercial zoning.
Yeah.
Any houses near there?
There's actually the land forms an H around a house.
I will give you 25,000 now. What is it?
I'll take that to myself.
Here's, I guess, the point to my question. Actually, that kind of almost proves what I was saying, was because replacement cost, right, is so much higher than actual market value on 90+% of the buildings in New Brunswick, I imagine. Same thing with Saskatchewan and everywhere else. Land value, must be cheap. So 100 acres for $45,000. Someone would go in there, but they have to understand that, if they're going to build a house and it's going to cost them 600 grand plus any of their soft costs and all that stuff, the value of that home isn't more than $600,000.
Right. Exactly.
Right? It's pretty less.
So what's that sort of that strategy, right? So it's kind of like it's a land banking type of scenario, and you're asking 45 grand. Like, you can't ask any less.
Exactly. And even on the little write-up blurb, that's what I put. I mean, that's basically land banking. Just pick it up for 45 grand.
What are the taxes on that thing?
They're big taxes. $80.
Bigger than the purchase price? How much? 80?
$80.
All right.
So it's a perfect land banking scenario.
$80.
Let's go, TK. We could crowdfund that with just people watching the show.
$80.
$80. And then it's
50-50 with the
That's
show
hilarious.
fans. Let's do this.
It's prime hunting, it's prime fishing, we're 20 minutes from the beach. It's a great spot.
Yeah.
What the hell? Let's go, TK. Let's go.
Right.
Go.
New Brunswick's a place. So I moved a couple people, so we'd sell their properties. They'd moved to New Brunswick. A guy recently, I just told you this week, and then, so those are the people who are retiring, right? So those are the people who are looking to just, cash out of the Ontario markets, BC, and go into New Brunswick and live a better lifestyle, higher standard of living, if you ask me. Now the investors. So big part of your business is interprovincial investors.
Right. I would say 98%.
98% are coming from outside of New Brunswick to buy properties in New Brunswick, right?
In New Brunswick. Right.
Okay. So let's go through that. So people are contacting you. They're
how many? 80?
98%.
98% of your clientele are outside of the province?
Outside of the province.
Okay. This is a specialty, right? So now when somebody...
Because he's throwing these $45,000 acreage bombs out there. It's a good catch. Wow.
How many people? So when they call you, right? How many people physically come to New Brunswick to buy that property?
Well, during the pandemic, 0. Nobody came. They're starting to visit now, seeing all these properties that they picked up over
after they've bought it. During the actual due diligence period, actually going to see the property.
None. 0.
None. 0.
Let's go. Let's analyze it right here.
This is the world
live,
we're living in
TK.
right now.
Let's go.
Right?
Let's look at it. What's the address?
So when I see something, I'll usually shoot the entire thing with the 360 camera. For that land, for example, I'm heading out this afternoon. I'll fly the drone over the whole thing and maybe put some bug spray on and go hunting with a GoPro on my head or something. I'll show them as much as I can over it, but then they'll hire local experts, local inspectors, appraisers, everything else to go through multi-units. That whatever it takes them to feel comfortable in the end.
Art. I just want to mention, this is a side note, Art. Okay. Because Art's got a lot of toys, he's a boy's boy. And one of my favorite things about Art is that not only has he trained jiu-jitsu, he's also competed in jiu-jitsu. So he is high up on my realtor standards lists, right? Because of that.
Okay.
But yeah,
Perfect.
so you can go hunting. Listen, Darryl, he can go hunting and show people with a GoPro what it would be like to hunt on that land.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
Exactly.
Who's doing
Nobody's
that?
working as hard as you are.
My plan for today was to do this from my boat on the ocean.
I was going to say, he definitely got the boat back, right? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Of course you did. Look at this guy.
Oh, yeah.
So hold on a second. What can you put on this thing as of right? TK, let's look at this thing. I'm like acres? 45.
Nothing
how do you even fuck this up?
Nothing that's gonna, bring you a profit if you have to build, right? It's just what are you gonna do?
It's land banking. That's
what if you build one house and rent it out? Like, isn't it gonna break even?
Well, then you got your taxes, you got everything else. if you rent it out, honestly, it's a land banking situation.
Yeah.
100 acres, you pick it up. I think probably 12 years ago it was clear cut, so now it's all young hardwood growth. So there's not really any. You can't cash in on the wood just yet, but it's a good place to park your money. You park 50 grand for 5 years, 6 years, and pay your $80 a year in property tax, and then when you're ready to cash it out at 100 grand. Buy yourself
Build a nice cottage there and go there.
And so there isn't like a multifamily opportunity, because any of the stuff that I imagine is being built multifamily would be in like A locations, right?
Right.
Like if someone's building a 15 unit multifamily, they're building it in downtown or one of the major cities.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that land, they bank that land from 10 or 20 years ago for $45,000.
Can't
Exactly.
you build some cheap commercial on it that no basement, like just throw up some siding?
You just want to build. I can get you some good building spots.
Yeah. I like to push appreciation on things. I don't want them to just sit there.
Well, look at the appreciation we're getting here in New Brunswick. That even applies to land. I mean, I won't go into details about what the seller purchased the land for, but there's some there.
Yeah, but it's amazing how cheap things can be. Like, I don't even that this is what we're talking about, is like how much it's gotta cost $3 something to build one of these houses. And right. And the land costs something. Right. I mean, this 45 grand is a land bank because you can't really do anything. So something you can do something on.
Right. So I have just for example, a seller brought me a 4-unit just a few days ago. That's on 64 acres. It's a 4-unit with room for lift. Like, this thing really needs some cosmetic work, for $300,000.
What's the income? What's the income?
Plus opportunity to build later.
Right, exactly. And that's about 12 minutes out of the city center.
And what kind of income does it pay for itself?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No problem.
Oh yeah. No problem.
That's the MO of New Brunswick, Darryl. Here's another question. So we talk about this a lot, because why? So this is the argument, right? Is Canada affordable? Absolutely. Just not in the areas that everybody wants to live.
Right.
Right. So in the demographics of the New Brunswick province, Moncton, this type of stuff, are you seeing immigrants? Like, are you seeing people coming from other countries and saying, Ontario is too expensive, even though all my friends and family are there, I'm going to go to New Brunswick and live here because I can buy a house for $350 that my family can live in. And whether we speak French or English, we'll learn one of the two languages and set our roots here.
Exactly. A lot of immigration will happen into Ontario. They'll stay there for 5 or 6 months and realize that it's just too expensive for them. They'll start looking elsewhere and they end up coming here. And I've got a few Airbnbs around town, so I'll host these people for a month or 2 months while they look for a property, and then I'll sell them a nice property to buy.
So you're seeing that. You're seeing
he's working with them. He's targeting them.
I think it's a great market.
Great market.
So we talk about this all the time. We always say, like, how do we incentivize people to move anywhere else other than Toronto, right? Like,
how about tell them about the place and just tell them these prices? That's about it. That's all you need. And how's the Wi-Fi? That's the next question.
Yeah, exactly.
How's the internet?
Right now, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Look at this.
Yeah.
TK.
No, that's right.
In the rural areas, we're basically using Starlink in all the rural areas still right now.
So are we in Ontario. High speeds only in the real urban centers and suburbs. Yeah.
So you can have Starlink, right?
Oh yeah. Starlink.
Oh, yeah.
How's that going?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
When I have Starlink. I would drive a Tesla. When I come here in town,
it's a techie.
Nice.
When I come here in town and I'm on right now, I'm at the office, the exit office. And when I get on the Wi-Fi here, I see how slow it is in comparison to Starlink.
Really?
Starlink.
Wow.
Yeah. Starlink. When people ask me about Starlink, I just say, you don't even have to think about it. You don't even notice. You don't even notice that you're on, satellite internet. Basically.
Yeah.
It's just real time.
Amazing.
What else? Because we love tech. We were heavy into real estate tech for a while, and lately,
what's big there?
Interest rates and all this other noise.
Yeah.
What are you doing, like tech wise? How is tech helping?
Tech wise, now I'm starting to sort of turn into more virtual reality stuff. So because most of my clients are from out of province or even out of country, I if they have a VR headset, then we can put the headset on, we can visit the properties, we can walk up and down the streets together, talk about different areas. So that's a lot of fun. You can hold meetings in VR, which helps a lot.
So
Bro, we
Oculus,
gotta talk, man. We
Oculus
gotta
only,
talk.
or what?
Mhm.
Oculus
Say again,
only,
TK?
Oculus only, or
That's all I have. Yeah.
yeah, okay. But Darryl and I both have it as well too, so we're all on the
Okay.
same
There we
team.
go. We
Yeah.
could be there right now.
Yeah, we should have
Yeah,
done
we
this.
could- we
Next
should have done this
podcast,
in
we're going to do it in
We,
VR.
we could have been in Montreal. We could have been.
Absolutely.
We could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? Next time, that's actually something that we've tried to do before, but the setup is a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Just
No,
because
they
of
made it better now.
the
Now
format.
it's better. Yeah, now
Yeah.
you can do it better. It's cool. Cool. Yeah, we should talk about that after. I've been into the VR thing for real estate for years, man.
Mhm. Oh yeah, there's an advantage to it for sure.
Oh, well, there
The
can
first,
be for
the
sure.
first equipment Darryl had for VR, he set me up with a backpack and about a 20-pound set of goggles, and I had to
Yeah.
walk around the room, and everything was just like super blocky and everything else
Mhm.
too. So like
Yeah, this is
where it is
great.
now,
This is great.
yeah, where it is now,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
amazing.
and now it's so
It
much
is amazing.
better.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, now they're coming up with updates. So every week there's an update. It just gets so much better and better.
Yeah. So what are you using? You're using the Google Earth app in there with people?
Yeah, exactly. Google
Cool.
Earth. And it's
Yeah.
funny because before I came on the podcast, my wife gave me some words of advice today. She's like, "Don't give away your secrets." And here I
Forget
am.
it. Listen,
Here I am.
Don't worry,
we've
no
done-
one watches the show.
nobody watches
Yeah, there we go.
anyways, and we
You're not
talk
telling
about it all the time. I found development projects in that Google Earth app because
Mhm.
it's like you're literally flying over
Yeah.
the whole city. Like you can
Yeah,
see
exactly.
things that people can't see going in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool to use. I've never used it with somebody else. That's interesting. That's cool.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
really
that's a lot of
cool.
fun. So
Good
we've got
idea.
a team of 7 here now on my team. So
Nice,
basically,
good for you.
and
Is that why
one of
you
our
do the
team-
360 stuff too? The 360
Yeah,
camera stuff?
360, exactly. Mhm. The only
Interesting.
problem with the 360 is you really got to crank up the resolution. You really got to go with high resolution in order to work well in VR. Otherwise, it's really grainy.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's-
Yeah, but we got a team of 7, and one person on the team. That's what she does. She walks the street to Google and checks out areas, and then she brings the multis over for us to present to investors.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And the issue that we were having in Ontario is when the option of people to be able to go and look at the property physically is there, they prefer it that way. And so when the pandemic started, there was a few people, because of restrictions, they were saying, okay, that's fine, and agents were doing all their things and everything else. But you have 100% of your clients buying the properties without seeing them, right?
Basically.
Like your business model is the very first business model where this application is like paramount. It's
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
this is, you got to be a leader in that area, where somebody
Right.
in Ontario or even just a New Brunswick agent dealing with local people, it really doesn't have the same value, and putting in all that time and effort is not going to give
Exactly.
you
Yeah, the opportunity cost, the time on task, really. That's important. And I mean, I was a saturation diver for over 2 decades, so I'm used to dealing with being away from people and communicating through text or messages or video. I mean, that was my life. So for me, it was second nature. When I first became a realtor, I didn't want to do the same thing that everybody else was doing from day one.
Mhm.
From day one, I thought there's got to be a different way to do this, a more efficient way to do it. Well, I mean, some people don't think it's that efficient, but I just didn't want to do the same thing as everybody else and just be mediocre. That was my plan. If I'm going to do it, then I'm all in a different way than everybody else. So, and then lucky for me, maybe I was patient zero because I was working in Asia and I came back to Canada, and then COVID started right after that. But lucky for me,
Patient zero.
that really helped.
Yeah. He started a pandemic just to make sure
That's what I call my
you
wife.
don't need to drive to New Brunswick anymore.
That's what I
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
My wife was patient zero. My wife was like sick in like September or October of 19, like
Of 2019,
had all
yeah.
the same symptoms. Her friend
Mhm.
did too. And
Yeah.
we were sure afterwards that they started it somehow. But
I remember going to the clinic and I mean, my doctor's in Singapore, so I don't really have anybody locally. And I went to the clinic, and that's exactly what they told me. We have no idea what this is. Here's a puffer. Take that if you can't breathe, and here's some antibiotics, and good luck. That's basically what they said.
yeah.
Time to get into real estate.
Yeah, time to start real estate.
So we have a very noisy atmosphere right now, like economy, recession, interest rates,
Very
Ukraine.
loud.
It's just like every day I'm just like bombarded by it. Like, is that the same
Yeah.
thing that you're getting in New Brunswick right now? Is
It's the same thing, but my wife is more big picture. You know, what's the distraction? Why all these distractions? What's actually going to be going on? You know, what's happening in the world as an entirety, rather than focusing on these distractions that people are inundating us with every single day. And so that's why bringing up that land again. That's why I'm saying, okay, here's a land banking opportunity. Just park your money, because inflation is climbing like crazy. Um, you know, it's just a hedge against all that stuff. The land value is always there. Land value is always going to climb over time. And you know as well as I do, park your money in the bank and could be gone tomorrow, or the inflation could just chew it up.
But you guys seem to be sitting in a pretty nice position going into something like we're all kind of seeing over here. I mean, you're still very affordable. It sounds like, you know, there's lots of potential port jobs and construction jobs, and you're saying tech jobs. I mean, why not? Tech jobs can be anywhere, especially if everything is so affordable. And with that comes more restaurants and more retail and more everything, as all that stuff kind of happens. And there's I imagine a pretty big food industry out there with the ocean, right?
Yeah, ocean and farming.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys are set up to weather a pretty big storm, especially when you're not really used to appreciation anyways.
Exactly.
Right? Like if you don't get it, who cares? More people will come.
Exactly. I've got, you know, investors will pick up a property. Let's say they bought it 2 years ago for 130,000, a 4 unit for 130,000 a couple of years ago. They've refied that 2 or 3 times, and then now it's for sale, and they're going to sell at a profit again.
So you guys have
they're just moving into the next one. Oh yeah, tons.
This is better. This is better than Saskatchewan. They have appreciation and make income instantly.
Yeah, I'd say it was. And this is the thing too. This was a startling stat.
Why are you guys holding back on me here?
I looked this up. Actually, an article came out, and so I looked into Moncton because it was most overvalued real estate in Canada, and Peterborough, Ontario, was like #1, and it basically had a percentage of the appreciation based on the incomes and everything else too, right? And honestly, Moncton was like the bottom of the list. It was literally the most valued. Like it was worth what people were paying, because the prices were still there in comparison low. The incomes are still very high in comparison to the rest of the country. And it was one of the best places to be buying. And that was something that, even though you had that appreciation, like it must have doubled in the last 2 years.
Oh yeah.
And it's still the best value in the country.
So is the new 14-story buildings that are getting built, are they highly tech centered? Like, are they looking for tech people to live in them?
They will.
That are working from home?
They definitely will be.
Like, do you mean modernization, or or do you mean tech companies?
No, well, I mean, like, like modernization for people to be able to work from home and go and have like a meeting somewhere in the building that's like, you know, fully operational, or make YouTube videos. You know, this is what the generation that is working from home needs, right? And if you can find an affordable place in a lovely place that has all the connections, like, why the hell? See, somebody was comparing our kind of standard of living. I don't know where I saw this, probably Twitter, to the United States. And in my lifetime, what I've noticed is that in the United States, they all move across the country, all over the place. They all go to schools far away from home. They find a job somewhere where they, you know, can afford a house and get a job. And it's not like that in Canada. It's like, you grow up in Rosedale, you want to have a house in Rosedale when you grow up, or Thornhill, or wherever it is in Moncton. Like, people are not like driving or flying until they find a place that they can live. But there's like, look at all these opportunities there are all over the place. We even have a guest that comes on from Ontario that says, if you go a little further north in Ontario, all of this exists as well. But everybody just wants like what they want here in Canada. It's like, it's very different. If we were willing to move to Saskatchewan and Manitoba and New Brunswick for these kind of lifestyles, who would be complaining about like affordable housing? It's like, if you want affordable housing, like go here,
Here's
here,
your option.
here, or here.
East.
They're lovely. Like, and if you work from home, go. We don't need you here. You're kind of a drag.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, traditionally, New Brunswick was known as the brain drain province, where they were born here, they went to school here, they got a degree here, and then they would move to Toronto, move to Vancouver, move to Montreal, move to those big cities. And now they're all coming back. Everybody's coming back.
So how often do these parcels of land come available that you could build 14-story buildings on where people would like to live?
Every day.
Every day, TK. We're going to New Brunswick, man. How much does something like that cost?
To build a 14 unit or 14
to buy the land,
downtown land, you're probably looking at about $250,000, I would say, for half an acre, around there. You need about 465 square meters to build a multi-unit. That's the minimum.
So what's the deal? How much? 2 of those? We need 2 of those?
So 2 of those. So you're looking at about $500,000.
$500,000 for something you can build 14 stories on?
In the downtown core.
In the downtown core. So that has income currently. Buddy.
What I liked.
What are we doing in Scarborough?
What I noticed with New Brunswick construction is that it's different. Like, it's different. It just looks different than what it does in Ontario. The builds are, they use different materials. Like what do you notice different between, the new builds that you're seeing elsewhere and how New Brunswick differs?
Well, really, to be honest, what I'm noticing now is a lot of builders are Ontario builders, or they are builders from the West Coast, and they've seen the opportunities here, so they've moved here.
I'm no genius.
They started to bring that over. So
they're not building it as traditionally as
right.
they used to.
As before, right?
Yeah, now it's
now. How do you feel about that?
Because I love it.
Yeah. So you think they're building quality stuff? You don't feel like there's people putting up? Well,
one of the main problems is just supply right now. So we had a unit downtown. I think it might have been a 34 unit recently built, and 34 unit rental property, apartments, and they were waiting. I think they were 6 months behind schedule because they were waiting for a particular door handle that was back ordered and tub surrounds and things like that. So eventually those people are blowing so much money just with the carrying cost that maybe they'll cheap out, and maybe they'll say, well, you know what, we can get some used parts and put them in, just to get the ball rolling, because they're so stalled. So there's a lot of supply chain problems here. So, but as far as quality of build goes, I mean, it has to be built to code. It has to be inspected. So maybe our codes are different than other provinces, but they're definitely built to our codes and our standards. They have to be.
And what about REITs? Are REITs coming in now to New Brunswick?
They were. We had kind of a wave about 5 or 6 months ago that they came in, and that's all you heard about all the time, and just throwing money around and outbidding everybody and picking up everything they
REITs?
could.
For what? Exactly. Retail properties or
everything?
Residential.
They just came in for everything. Yeah, residential, retail, commercial. They just came in, and you couldn't get anything significant anyway. Of course,
all the bigger assets.
Yeah, exactly.
What about a marina? Can you buy a marina?
Geez, you're right up my alley. I want to buy a marina, but you could buy the land and you could build a marina yourself.
We worked on a marina once, but the buyer ended up going bankrupt. There was a Chinese group. Okay. And they bought this thing. We put the deal together and they ended up going bankrupt, unfortunately.
That was the one in Ontario though, right?
Midland.
Yeah, because there was another one in New Brunswick that was a big one. That was a big boondoggle out there. Or was that Nova Scotia?
Maybe Nova Scotia.
Maybe
Nova nothing Scotia. I heard in New Brunswick.
Oh, yeah, okay. There was a big one. It was all marshland, and they bought it all up, and turned out they couldn't build that resort seaside community like they thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all just marshland and stuff.
A nightmare. They're nightmares.
Yeah, you got to. But keep in mind that we've got 9 months of winter here, pretty intense in New Brunswick.
Right. Okay. Here's some drawbacks. What other drawbacks do we have going out to New Brunswick? See, there's reasons people don't live in New Brunswick. Okay.
But you gotta get used to it.
It's a little colder out there in the winter.
9 months of winter, of serious winter?
Serious winter, yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, it is changing now with climate change. It's changing a bit now. You know, we'll start seeing snow around September, October, but significant amounts in November all the way through till April, May. It'll be snowing. I think we had a snowstorm here. Well, so did the rest of the country, actually, when I see the news. But generally, we'll have snow into May on occasion, and the snow in the woods will stay there until end of May, early June. So you just got to get used to that part.
How's the grocery delivery services these days?
Well, they were booming for a while, but now with shortages coming and supply cutoffs, then those are kind of dwindling as well. So we had last year to fight off the appreciation of these properties. That, you know, someone, like I said, they would buy a property for 120. It's now worth almost 400,000 just for a duplex. Of course, your rents have to climb, right? So if you're buying something at 400,000, you can't charge somebody $400 all included. And traditionally, that's pretty much what the rents were like in the province: $400, $500. That's what everybody's used to, and most of them all included. So as the prices climbed and investors come from the rest of the country, rent started to go up. So last year they reduced, this year, sorry, they threw in a rent cap, 3.8% rent cap. So everybody was in a panic about the rent cap. And you just
that's on turnover of tenants too.
No, correct? Not turnover.
No, so just existing tenant.
Just existing
tenants. Yeah, okay. Existing tenants, 3.8%.
You can get market rents when the tenants leave. You can get whatever rent you want. Okay, good.
But there's only 3 ways to ask them to leave, and now they're monitoring those pretty closely. So the tenants are getting a little more savvy here, and they're not putting up with, you know, a 45% rent increase or 50% rent increase anymore. So they put in this 3.8%. They said it's temporary. It's going to leave January 1st, apparently.
That's what they say about income tax.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever the government puts something in, it's probably it's pretty rare that they take it out again, but they'll change the 3.8 somehow. But now you have 2 types of investors. You have one of the mindset that they believe it's only temporary, so they're holding back on rent increases, because one of the other new rules that came in place was you can only increase rent once every 12 months. So they want to sell, for example, they want to sell their property in January. So if they would have given the 3.8% increase, which is nothing, which was like $40 a month, they won't be able to increase it again for a year. So come January, the value of their property is still a lot lower. So now they're holding off, and they're hoping that 3.8 goes away. They can bring everybody up to $1,200 a month, and then sell it at a higher value.
Yeah, good luck with that. But still,
that sounds like
we need places that you can get cash flow instantly for the evil investors.
Well, the cap rates have compressed now, so it's definitely not like it was with the 10, 12, 14% cap rate days. But there's still opportunities out there, and they're still way better than anywhere else.
It's cash. You can buy it cash, and then it can be like totally almost 100% cash flow.
Well, you never really want to use your own money.
I don't know.
So the other thing, Darryl, is in the wintertime, these are New Brunswick people. Okay, they all have snowmobiles. Okay, but
there's opportunity there.
They know how to. They know how
you can rent them.
Toys, right?
There's Airbnbs, you know, specializing in their. Well, for example, my house, I'm on waterfront. The guy next to me wants to sell his place, and it would be a perfect Airbnb, because all summer long you've got a dock there, you have access to the ocean, you have your boats, your sea-doos, and then when the snow comes and the bay freezes over, the river freezes over, now you're open to snowmobilers that fly in, they'll be doing their snowmobile trips and stuff. So there's lots of opportunity even in the winter.
It's people like us that steal the opportunities from the first-time homeowners.
Yeah.
We're turning the affordable places. Look at us. Even the other day, another guest, I could see him licking his chops when we were talking about the numbers in Saskatchewan, right? It's just like, especially if you're from Ontario or Vancouver and you hear these numbers, it's like, we haven't heard numbers like this in ever, right? We've only seen this in the books that come from the United States. right? They're like fairy tale numbers normally for us. And when we
Yeah.
hear that we could get them, it's like, people are waiting. Don't you find that, TK? Still, your investor clients, aren't they just like, when can we like buy something already? Right? I've got money. I'm ready to go. When will you let me buy? When will you tell me it is the right time to buy?
Yeah, there's still a ton of cash that's going to be deployed. And I think that there's a ton of opportunities coming up because the market is changing, right? And there's obviously, signs of cracks in the Canadian housing market, even though it's mostly in Ontario and BC by the sounds of things. I mean, if prices gone down at all in the last 3 months since rate hikes came in?
Prices haven't gone down, but the time on market has definitely climbed. We're not into multiple bidding offers or anything like that. It's, I probably list 4 or 5 properties a week. And so I can see quickly when it makes a change.
Yeah.
And so now we're not, all of a sudden it's not first day and it's sold, and it's not multiple offers. And I have to do a little more work to present this to people. Whereas before I had to do work to keep people off of it.
Yeah.
I would, for example, I would put up a posting on my off market page and I would have to pull it like within a couple of minutes. As soon as we reached asking price, I didn't bother going in multiples because I know there's another one in 5 minutes. So as soon as we reach at full ask, I just pull it. Sorry about your luck. Accepted offer. Move on to the next one.
Yeah.
How many realtors are there that you get that kind of traffic instantly?
No, Art does a lot of off market deals.
I get it,
right?
So these are all buyers that he's dealing with.
Yeah. So I have a buyer pool of about, a couple of thousand anyway, Canada wide, and quite a few in the US. So sellers know this now. My name is starting to get out to the sellers, and they'll just come to me directly and say, listen, I don't want to be on MLS. I don't want showings. I don't want a sign at the front. I don't even want my tenants to know that this thing is for sale. What can you do for me? So that's kind of my niche that I jumped into.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's powerful,
that's
right?
smart. Yeah. That's where it's at.
Especially with the Ontario or outside of New Brunswick buyers, right?
Yeah. The only problem is you're relying exclusively on your network. So I had to build that network up and get involved with all the groups and everything I possibly could. Yeah.
Smart, so different than this list to last nonsense that everybody spews out there. List to last.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
You got to show the property. There's no way they're going to buy it without seeing it. There's no way.
Nonsense.
How's that going to work? They're in across the country. Don't talk to them. They're not, because think about it. There's so many people that would not give people the time of day, right? If I got a call from somebody and they said like, hey, I'm in BC and I'm looking to buy, and just send me what you got. Like, it's kind of like, that's not the buyer profile that we're used to. So it's kind of like, is this person really that serious?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is this for real?
Those are the calls that you get exclusively.
Right. Exactly. Right? And actually one of the most difficult conversations that I have to have is I barely take phone calls. I barely take any phone calls. I deal with such a high volume that I can't remember all these details. So I need to have everything written down. It becomes a searchable database for me. So if you and I are speaking and maybe 2 months ago and we talked about something, maybe that's the only time you talk to a New Brunswick realtor, but it's not the only time I talk from an out of province. So when you come to me and you say, oh, remember we talked about, no, I don't remember, but I can find out in 2 seconds, with my searchable database.
It's in our chat history.
Yeah. And actually that's how I started to build my team, because I needed someone who does take phone calls and loves chatting on the phone. So I'm like, okay, because some people need that. They want to talk on the phone. They want to have an in-person conversation, or they want to do a video call. No problem. I just send that over to the person on my team that handles that.
The art of real estate, Darryl. The art of real estate.
You don't see it often from the outside, first of all, because there's only a few. First of all, there's only a few that actually do it properly and well. And this is a totally different animal than like find an area, farm it, market the hell out of it. This is not that $1 million formula or whatever they're selling the realtors. This is smart. This is buyers. This is buyer driven, which brings the sellers to him because everybody knows he's got the buyers. It's the opposite approach. And they're all investors. They're repeat customers, which is even better. This is what people should be doing. But instead, they go to a school that teaches them list to last. And they got these old people telling them, you got to get the listing, son. You got to control the deal. You got to control the deal. best, quickest way to do this, son. This is the way to do it. Come on, follow me. Do it my way. I know everything. And it's different now. And there's tech, man. There's tech.
Yeah.
People want to.
Tech is on our side.
What's the average age of your clientele? What's the gap? What's the range?
I would say 30 to 50.
30 to
20 year.
Yeah. That makes sense. And
Yeah,
they know tech. They want tech. They want to watch a YouTube video about it, right?
Yeah. They know tech and they've got the money behind them to do something.
Yeah, they're comfortable with the setup. So here's, I guess, my synopsis on Art's business, right? One is you're offering something that nobody else is offering. Super neat.
Until now.
Until that people watch this show. More importantly is you have this network. So you've been able to build up a network of buyers. Now you've also got a network of sellers. Your reputation is do it off market. Don't bother the tenants, get you top dollar, so forth. And to be able to coordinate it well, right? So you've got this value. So why that doesn't work in Ontario is because there's so many realtors in Ontario that if I said to somebody, hey, we're not going to do phone calls, you're not going to see the property, and you're going to buy things off market and you got 36 hours to let me know if you want to buy it or not, they would say, no problem. I'll go to my cousin. He's a realtor and I'll get it the way that I want to get it. Right. Yeah. And a seller would say to me, why should I deal with you? You only know 3,000 buyers. I can deal with anybody, any other agent. He'll list it on the MLS. There's 65,000 agents. They have at least one buyer each. That's a bigger network than yours. Right. So I think that's been your, the MO behind your business that's really helped you get to where you are. And I think it's great. I think it's working. And I think don't change a thing. Keep making it more and more.
I've got some new recruits that have come on the team and they're going through the training here at the office, and it's all about the listings and it's all about, door knocking and all that stuff. And they're going through it. And the rest of my team also went through that. And then they just come back to Papa and that's it. We just do it this way.
It's brutal in there. This is brutal. The stuff they're teaching us.
It's crazy.
1965, that stuff was written.
It's insane. Plus the system they work on, half the time you answer it right and they tell you it's wrong, or you answer it like the nuance is so slight that and there's so much information they give that it's like that one word changes the whole answer. And then it's like wrong. And you don't even understand what you got wrong. Thank God, like my daughter's going through it now. Thank God I have friends like TK, because TK had to explain it to both of us. Because I was even like, this doesn't make any sense. Most people don't have a TK at their disposal to say, hey, can you explain this to my kid so she can pass this stupid thing and really get to the real estate? Because this thing is not real estate. It's a bunch of horse shit. There's no real estate there.
What does it take to get a license in New Brunswick?
Well, you're supposed. Oh God, I won't tell the story about my journey. But anyway, it's you're supposed to pick up your books about 6 months before. It's kind of a self-study, and then you have a 3-day in-person course at that point, and then it's up to you. It's when you're ready, you can write the exam after that.
One exam.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it was in Ontario for a long time. It was 3 exams by the time I did it. Now it's like a 5 exam, right, Joe?
Yeah, 5 different courses. I think it's 6 courses with 5 exams total.
Yeah, so they're doing it.
Like we go through it together, and I'm like, who cares about the different construction of roofs? And they're talking about the piping and all this stuff that we're not supposed to. I mean, they're good for a realtor to know if they know what a realtor should know first. Learn what a realtor should know first. And then if you're a good realtor, you're going to figure out the construction stuff. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. General knowledge. Yeah, exactly. So I picked up my books. I picked up my books on Friday while walking into the course. And they said, oh, you're Art Dadson. Here's your books. Thank you. I picked up my books. I did the 3-day course. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I wrote on Tuesday. That was Beautiful. It. And really, I just studied the practice questions. Out of all the books, there was 400 practice questions, and I just memorized every single one of those. I just needed to get to the point where I could be licensed, and then the real world and real estate. That's where you're going to learn.
Yeah, you also had some deals under his belt too, right? So you had that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's. I'm glad that you brought that up, because when I started shopping for myself as just a normal person, it was really difficult to find any realtor that was investor focused for real.
Yes.
Every realtor is investor focused. Everybody, oh yeah, I'm investor focused, but I noticed right away that here I am educating the realtors on what I'm looking for and how to find it for me. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to jump in there and fill that spot.
You get everything but what you're actually looking for.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, just go to it first, for God's sakes, and like check off a few boxes at least, please. Don't just like area or dollar per square foot. Like there's more.
I think an investor focused realtor has to own many doors. There has to be some real life experience with the investment world, because it is, just like any other field or any other type of real estate or whatever, there's a lot of nuances. And, you're not going to really understand them all on the sales side. You have to understand them all on the buyer side and on the seller side of financing, of negotiating, of the due diligence process and all that kind of stuff. And so if your agent's just trained on the sales side, there's holes. There's holes in the knowledge.
But Art is a realtor by necessity, right? Like if he could have done it without being a realtor, he would have done it without being a realtor. But it got to probably a point where it was like, A, I'm going to get in trouble for this. B, I can make more money if I'm a realtor doing this, right? And I'd be better than everybody else around me because they're all not doing so good. I
initially picked up my license to help myself find the deals. I thought, I need access to MLS. That was my thinking back then. But now I see that really once you really know how to do the job, the sellers come to you. You're not knocking on doors. They're coming to you. You're helping to educate them on what they can expect out of the deal, what they can expect for a listing price or a sale price. You develop that confidence by just doing it. So you can't just go to school and then all of a sudden you're an investor focused realtor ready to rock. You really have to live it. My wife and I just passed the 1 million mark in rent roll in our personal portfolio. So like we know how to find cash flow. We know how to find all that kind of stuff because we've made all those mistakes.
How do you decide whether to let your network have the deal or take it for yourself?
That's the hardest part. That's why I don't know if TK had a look or whatever on MLS, but that's why I'm starting to get a few more MLS listings because it's generating leads and I can just feed those leads to the rest of the team. So those are investors that are coming in looking on MLS and I can just feed them over.
Smart.
They see your name on the listing. Yeah, he must be the local guy because he's on this one listing I looked at.
Well, how else are sellers?
I don't advertise. I don't have signs out.
That's my question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are these sellers finding you? Like, how are like New Brunswick landlords hearing about you?
Remember that we only have 25 people in the city, like I mentioned in the beginning. So
24 people.
Yeah, exactly. So 24 other people have heard that the 25th person sold their thing through me, and away we go from there. It's word of mouth, and I have a girl on my team that's her specialty, so she's really good at talking to the sellers and getting word out there. So she goes from city to city all over the province, and she's got a really good access to all of these sellers.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's again very unique, right? Like all the things that work here on Ontario are what's being taught to the students and the new agents in New Brunswick, and it's probably working just as poorly as it is in here in Ontario.
Yeah,
and you're doing something that is very unique, and I'm guessing my mind is closed right now, saying like, oh, what Art's doing could not work in Ontario, but that's not the right mindset. I think what you're doing could work in Ontario. It just takes
Ontario, Toronto, no, yeah.
Well, I'm not saying Ontario
maybe.
and Toronto are separate, but exactly, I'm keeping an open mind. I think that somebody could take this and say, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to focus specifically on one niche. Doesn't have to be investor focused. It could be any niche, and just be like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it, and we're going to build up a network of those people. Again, not easy, but you'd have to.
Exactly. So when a seller comes to me with an idea of what they want for their property, and I take them through the whole education process, and then they give me what they want for a price, and I run all their numbers. A lot of times I tell them, listen, I can't put this on my off-market page because it really doesn't make any sense as an investor. So I recommend that they go to MLS. If you're asking for a crazy price and a crazy valuation, then MLS is the place for you. And if you're willing to listen to what I have to say, and it becomes a win for everybody, then we can list on my page.
Nice, eh?
Yeah. And so is there uproar from some local folks about prices getting pushed higher by Ontario and British Columbia investors?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
And
You're
tenants.
you're to blame for all of
So we don't want to walk around with Ontario flags when we come there.
it. We don't even know what the Ontario flag looks like.
Is
but
there an
you probably don't
Ontario
want to.
flag?
Neither do we.
It has TK
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, this has been informative and wonderful and a great way to start my day. That's for sure. You got my brain
All right.
going like crazy. We're going to put Art's contact info down in the link below in the description.
Oh, it's great.
If there's
Thank
anything
you.
that you'd like to add in.
Well, just
at the,
before Art, we're gonna give you an opportunity just to kind of tell people where they can find you. But the next podcast that we're gonna do is gonna be in VR. Mark my words.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah,
We're
that'd
gonna
be fun.
find.
Let's practice next
place
week in
to
a
do it.
zombie game.
We're gonna
Yeah.
practice playing,
I'm in.
shooting people, and
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be good.
Oh, we
Okay,
can play.
yeah, sounds
we can
good.
play Echo VR together. We got 3 now. We can gang up on those 6-year-olds and
little
win,
10-year-olds.
maybe.
Yeah,
I'm in. Maybe. Yeah,
Awesome.
maybe.
yeah, we'll figure it
Okay,
out.
great.
Art,
Yeah.
where can everyone find you? Where's the best place for people to find you?
Probably just best through the website. So it's just aaarei.ca. That's it.
aaarei.ca.
Yep.
I will
Awesome.
put a link down below. Thank you very
Okay.
much, sir. Wonderful to
Right
meet
on.
you. Thanks for
Great.
joining us today. Mr. TK,
Okay.
I'll see you back in Toronto, sir.
All right. Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Landlord.
This landlord software is a game changer. You upload your properties, right? You'll upload all the information, income, expenses, timelines, mortgage details, everything that you need to have so that you keep track of everything in your portfolio. And as you go through real-time adjustments in, rent increases and water bills and tax bills and everything else, they're going to actually give you recommendations on how to make your portfolio more efficient. And it just breaks everything down for me in a way that I've never seen before. Like Excel spreadsheets just don't cut it. I don't think there's a better program or app out there for investors, and it's free.
Please click the link below for your free trial offer.